soft. Okay, I'll go on audio level. Okay, guys, thank you so much for your patience. Hi to you from, if you're catching us on IG Live, hi to you if you're catching us on Facebook and YouTube Live. I'll sometimes talk to both sides, so the eye line might be a bit strange. Thank you. This is the first time we're going to live stream across 3 platforms. I think it's time that we all learn how to do more things that are more tech savvy as this becomes really and truly the new normal for the next few weeks. So today we're going to talk about resilience, and of course I'm Jade, in case you didn't. I guess you know if you're on my platforms. And we're going to talk to Stephen Lew, who is the founder of the School of Positive Psychology and also a positive psychology practitioner. So he is kind of like the expert in this. I am still learning, and I'm learning from him, and I hope to learn from all of you as well. So let's all learn together. Today we're going to talk about the topic of resilience. What is resilience, firstly, Stefan?
Okay, I think resilience is just what we went through. that's number one. Yeah, well, resilience is having the ability to bounce back, number one. I think many of us will know this, but not only just bouncing back, but able to take day-to-day challenges at stride. But if I can give you an example, that when we talk about resilience, we talk about having mental toughness. Yeah. Having the ability to say, get up many times after we fall. But that is a very physical way of looking at resilience. When you look at emotion resilience, what does it really mean to us? So it's the ability to deal with negative emotions, the ability to deal with bad news, and the ability to process all these things and choose a response, a good response to external situations.
So is it kind of like saying that, because I was thinking about this, honestly, I struggled the first week of the circuit breaker. And I think a lot of it was to do with the fact that I felt like life was happening to me. Like, oh my gosh, I'm put in this situation where I can't go out, I can't do this, I can't do that. And so part of being resilient is being able to be aware of that and to choose my response. Is that what you would define as resilience?
Yes. One big way is how do we, if I can simplify it, how do we control our response? Because there's a difference between reaction and response. If something bad happened to us, we sometimes unconsciously react, right? And so this is based on our instinctual behaviors. So instead of reacting, could we take a moment and think about how the way we want to respond to the scenario or to the people around you?
Okay, so it's being able, as you said, to choose your response and not just let it happen to you.
Yes. Well, when we talk about resilience, the first thing I would like to share is about this concept of negativity bias. As human beings, we are wired to pay attention to negative things because it helps us to survive. Especially during this period, during COVID-19, there are so many news about, infection rates, about the shutdown, the disruption of businesses, the dip of stock market, and etc. etc. There is a lot of confusion, uncertainty, anxiety, stress, and whatnot. And if I could just add on that, around 2.7 million people are infected by COVID-19 physically, but the rest of the 9 billion people are infected by it psychologically. So it's very important for us to learn how to be more resilient.
Okay, so I think that, because when we were talking about, or the lead up to these live sessions, I say these because we are live across Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. We did talk about it's going to be about resilience. So I think everyone here just wants to learn a bit more about resilience in general. So is it something that we have intrinsically as people, or do we need to build it up? How does it work?
Very good question. Many people mistake that resilience is a personality trait, but yet research has shown that it is not a personality trait. It is an innate psychological resources that we need to build constantly over time. And it's a process. So if we can maybe share a quick example that a good way to understanding resilience is to use a metaphor, and there's many metaphors that we can use, right? Yeah, and I think you are aware of this one, which is, I heard you using many different times. Let me share it again with everyone, is having a resilience reservoir or having a resilience tank, right? So in the resilience reservoir, we have lots of water inside. And at the bottom of the reservoir, there are holes. And they are holes or cracks. And these holes or cracks are caused by the external environment. And it could be COVID-19, it could be stress in the families, at work, and there are all these cracks sipping the water away. And these water are known as our resilience. And to build resilience, we constantly need to replenish by putting more water back into the reservoir or the tank so that we can continue to focus on surviving, still continue to bounce back, and still continue to engage with life.
So to reconfirm, so what we have is resilience is something, not so much that is innate, it's something that we build up and that we actively choose to, I think what I'm getting from what you're saying is that we actively choose to build up these resources. Maybe in good times, it might be easier to build it up in good times. I think it's kind of like when people talk about fixing a ship, you fix it in a dry dock and not try to fix it like in the middle of a storm, right? So I think this is from what you're saying is pertinent not just during this time of COVID-19, but in general in life. Like I think we all know people who seem to bounce back from setbacks. I mean, to be really honestly, life throws us a lot of lemons. Like I think I've been seeing a lot of posts on Instagram about people saying like, I'm so sorry 2019. Because I think when 2019 ended, a lot of people were like, oh, this year sucked and all that. And then people are realizing, whoa, 2020 is like, made 2019 look like a walk in the park, right? So I think what you're saying is that we need to build up resilience even in good times so that in bad times we have more to tap from. Is that right?
Yeah.
And the other part of it is that so as we build it up, it's kind of like water in the reservoir and things will deplete it somehow. Like for example, going through like this period will deplete the water in the reservoir. And what we need to do is to actively keep putting water back in to strengthen the sort of supply that we have.
Yes.
And the people, sorry.
Oh, that's all right. I mean, if I could share another quick metaphor, because sometimes everyone identify with metaphors in a different way, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's another one is building resilience muscles. So if we have resilient muscles, we have the strength to take on life and sail through life. So for example, that for a person who doesn't pay attention to their physical health, right? And you do not exercise as much. And then what do? They do not have a lot of muscles, but they can still go through life. Not saying that they cannot, but comparing to people who have more muscles and more strength, when they take on life challenges, let's say that these external challenges are filled with a lot of pressure, a lot of strength, external forces. Those who are have more resilient muscles are able to be tougher, able to bounce back better. Yeah, so this is another metaphor.
I think this is a metaphor that I use less, but for me, actually means more because I am like totally believe in keeping your body fit to, be prepared. And also like, I feel like if you're fitter, you're more able to go about daily life, like walking up the stairs, things like that. So I think similarly with resilience, it's about a constant process to try to strengthen your muscles and replenish the water, if you're using the reservoir analogy, just to make us stronger in tough times. And maybe these are the reasons why, we all have friends who seem to be very resilient, like they go through a breakup or they go through like a death of a loved one, or they go through like, some really challenging times at work, and they always seem to be able to get on with it and go on with it. And I guess these people, whether knowingly or unknowingly, are the people who have built up their resilience stores. Am I right?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, so $1 million question, right? And I know Stefan is always like, oh, I'm always like, go, right? But I think the $1 million question then is, since we understand resilience a lot better, and we understand that we need to build up our stores, then what is it that we can do to build up our stores of resilience so that we are better able to cope with life in general and better able to cope with adversity when it happens?
Okay, it's really $1 million question. Let me answer it in three parts, right? Okay, the first part about resilience is that we could try to safeguard ourselves from negativity first, because we have that negativity bias. The first tip or skill I will share would be do not trust everything your mind tells you. Do not trust everything your mind trusts you, because our mind forms our reality and we take in all these ideas from the media, from the environment, from people's words, and they are not entirely true. So the best way is to evidence our minds, our ideas, and our thoughts by writing down, because the best way to go through to develop resilience is to look at what you're thinking. And there's a difference by penning it down versus you putting inside your head. So writing it down is very important. Keeping a thought journal, number one. And number two is maybe avoid speculation on things right now.
Like fake news, you mean?
Yeah, I mean, we are humans, we like to speculate. This is our part of our innate nature, but try not to speculate. It's because this speculation will always give us more anxiety, worries, and whatnot. And third, this is the part about, for those people who are a little bit stressed out, a little bit more anxious, a little bit more negative, they have heard a lot of resilience tips, but they say that I cannot just do it. Maybe the way they learn resilience is from a different place or different starting point. I would suggest that put on a rubber band on your wrist, called the rubber band experiment. And every time you have a negative thought, you find yourself that you have a negative thought, just click the rubber band and feel the pain.
Ow! Really? Well,
Yes.
to remind yourself not to have the thought.
Now, this is to train the first part of resilient awareness, because there are many people, they feel that they are immersed with their negative thoughts. They're swimming in their head all day. So the best part to create awareness is to be aware how many times that we have a negative thought, a negative emotion, or a worry. So click the rubber band is a great psychological experiment have done with school kids to businessmen to many people. I highly recommend it.
Oh, okay, that one sounds pretty painful. Would it work a more less painful version? Like maybe if I were to have a negative thought, that I write it down. Does that help us in the same way, or do you need to feel a bit of the actual pain for it to fit?
Well, there are many people when they have a negative thought, they are away from their phone or they're away from a piece of paper. They do not have a time to arrive to that material. If they just click themselves in a very gentle way, not too hard, but they can feel the pain. The signal the pain on their wrist will send a signal to their brain to register that, hey, I have a negative thought today. And by the end of the day, they will know that, oh, how many negative thoughts I have for one day. You can start comparing one day with the other. Okay.
And what you're saying is just being aware of the number of negative thoughts that one has will help us to be less negative and hence more resilient.
Yeah, that's one way, the prevention, the first stage.
I'm going to go one step back to what you said about keeping like a so-called journal of your thoughts. So you're saying that in general, maybe we should try to write down our thoughts as they happen or at the end of the day, which is better?
Well, if you have time to write it as it happened, I will highly encourage. And the reason being so is because that sometimes we forget our thoughts immediately, almost immediately once we have them, right? So if you have the habit to write it down immediately, do so. I will highly recommend it. It's a great habit.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Then you were gonna say your next step. I'm just trying to break it down because, I think for me, like when instructions are a bit more specific, then I'm more likely to engage in them.
And for the second part about resilience, I mentioned to you, one is more on preventing the negative event. But I'm also not suggesting that we should ignore the negative, right?
Okay.
Yeah, it's not that we should be just highly positive. It's not sustainable. So try to lower down the negativity. And then on the second part, build the resilience muscles. How do we build these muscles? There's one acronym which I like a lot. It's called ACT, ACT, right? Okay. So the first act, I think you will be the expert in this, is called activities, right?
Oh
yeah. Yeah. Go out, stand out, do a sport, perspire. The best way is to go for a run. If you don't want to run outside, run around your house in circles. It doesn't matter. As long as you perspire, right? You can do squats, everything. You are the expert for this. As long as you perspire, you change your physiological system, you change your emotional state, you develop a muscle, right?
Okay.
Yeah. And C stands for calming. So do things that will calm you down. Is it like watching a relaxation video, listening to music that's relaxing, do mindfulness meditation, or you could just make yourself a cup of hot tea. You know, my fiancée Alice, she always make hot tea for me, so I'm always comforted. Yeah, so there are many things that you can do for C, right? And T is train your mind. It's the best time for you to do different sort of activities like hang out with your friends, be connected with your social ones. So you can train your mind, read up on books, go on watch documentaries instead of watching a movie, go out and sign up for courses online. There's a lot of great courses right now. Read books in positive psychology. There's so many, right? Train your mind.
So, sorry, when you say train your mind, you mean to do something active that train your mind, almost like exercise for your mind. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
If I could jump in and expand on that topic, Jade, why I say train your mind, I would like to highlight this, that many people think that resilience is connected to having strong mind power.
Yeah.
Okay? But it is not. Mind power has nothing to do with resilience directly. Because let's say, like I said, that can we use our mind power to think ourselves out of sadness? Very hard.
Yeah.
Can we use our mind power to think of how to drive a car if a person doesn't know how to drive a car?
No.
Cannot. So having strong mind power is not resilience. But training your mind is about doing things that will add on to your resilience. So there's a whole, so like I mentioned to you, you can do, let's say, the rubber band technique. You can also do mindfulness meditation, drink hot tea, keep a thought journal. There's so many things you can do. Train your mind.
Okay, so what you're saying again is that resilience is not something that we have innately, we have to train it. The second thing is resilience is not just like telling yourself like, oh, I feel very, very negative. Just don't feel negative. No, don't feel negative. It's like all these other small steps that we are doing to sort of build that resilience muscle and that resilience reservoir that will help us to go through hard times easier, right? And so like some ways to do this, as you mentioned, is to keep like a journal if you can. I would say that for me, I use a lot of Google Notes. So I think then maybe what I will start doing is to write down the negative thoughts in my notes the minute I have them, right? Because the immediacy is more important to do it immediately, and we don't always have pen and paper and time to write it down. So I think typing out a quick something like note on your phone to tell yourself, okay, I just had a negative thought about this is kind of like an online journal that you can keep for yourself. Then of course there's the rubber band technique, which is ouch, but it's keeping a rubber band around your wrist, and every time you have a negative thought, you kind of ping yourself, not too hard. And then finally, I think you gave us the acronym ACT, which is A stands for activity. So I think in this time where we can't, I mean, yes, I'm a very outdoor sports person, but I've managed to be very active at home also, right? So you can like join a workout class, do some squats, do some burpees. If you're like, I can give you some fitness challenges since if you need some extra push. And then C stands for to calm yourself down. So that will include like maybe drinking tea, doing some meditation exercises, something just to calm your spirit. This is hard for me, okay, but it's something that I've been practicing. And then C is to train your mind, which is something that I like, which is maybe to not watch mindless television and watch mindless, like to scroll mindlessly on like social media, but to actually do stuff that would enrich your mind and would teach you something and make you learn something. Am I getting it right?
Yes.
The summary?
Definitely. Well, if I could add one more resilience activity, a very quick one. It's a mindfulness activity that helps on resilience and break away from anxiety. It's called 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method. It's very fast. Yeah. So you find yourself at a hard place or feeling a little bit distressed, you immediately think about 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5 is name 5 things that you can spot around you.
Okay.
Yeah. 5
random things.
Random things.
Okay, let's do it now. Okay, so 5. So, I mean, just practice so I can see like flowers, my cup, my chair, stack of magazines, and like a clock. So that's 5 things, right?
Very good. And then after that, you do 5 things, go to the 4 things. That'll be 4 things that you could hear, 4 sounds.
Hear?
Yeah.
Wow, okay, I can hear the fan. I can hear you. There's a slight echo. And I can hear the rain.
Very good. And then go to number 3. 3 things that you can touch.
Okay, I can touch my...
So cute.
Yeah, I can touch the sofa that I'm on. And I can touch the remote control.
Yeah. And then 2 will be 2 things you can smell.
I can smell my cookies because I put them... I warmed them up in the oven. No, I did not bake. I can smell my body lotion, which I put on after I showered. Yeah.
And the last one is one taste that we can taste in our mouth.
I can taste the cookie that I just ate prior to this call. Okay, so now that I've done the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, how does that help?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1 is more like intervention for you, a mindful intervention to break away from anxiety, to break away from negative thoughts. So if, let's say, a person is using a rubber band, they are still thinking many times. This is a very good method to distract yourself, to train your mind back onto being mindful. And this is a training technique. Because mindfulness doesn't mean that we need to sit down and do meditation for 30 minutes. Mindfulness means that you're mindful of things around you, the words that you use, the information that you consume, and that's also called mindfulness.
Okay. So I think I'm gonna just address a few of the questions that I'm seeing coming in. Because some of them are questions that I had as well when I prior to studying more about positive psychology. So Gyok, hi Gyok. So he said, does that mean to distract our negative thoughts so that we don't think about the negative situation that we're in?
Distraction is a good technique, right? Yeah.
I think, sorry, Steph, I think the question is it the point of like these exercises, is it purely to distract our negative thoughts? And what to do with our negative thoughts?
I think the best way is to being mindful of these negative thoughts. By writing it down, you're being mindful rather than being occupied by it. There's a difference. Yeah. So number one, yes, we are distracting ourselves. And number two, we are re-managing our emotions. It is okay to feel negative thoughts. It is okay to feel negative emotions. But it's a difference between letting the negative emotions to overwhelm you like an avalanche and tsunami versus that I know that I feel sad today, it is okay. That is a difference.
I think the other question that's coming in is, but doing stuff like this, it doesn't really so-called solve the problem?
How long do I have for this?
Keep it short. Okay. I'm telling Stephen to keep it short.
Okay.
As snappy as you can.
Okay. Resilience is about process. It's not about the outcome. There will always be problems for you to solve because we are great problem solvers. By we are being great problem solver, we will always look for problems to solve so that we have control or we feel better each time. But the problems will never stop coming, right? So if I could say that it's about building your awareness that there is a problem and then write it down and just let it be for a while. Because sometimes problems cannot be solved overnight, but at least the problems will slow down on triggering negative emotions and thoughts or anxiety for the person.
Yeah, I hope that answers some of your questions. So it really, I think resilience is more about how to deal with problems because as we already said, life is life, right? There will always be problems, but we can choose to like, okay, I think I'm going to use this COVID-19 situation as like a problem, right? And I know it's a first world problem, but the fact is we are in the first world, guys. Okay. So from the point of view, just as people like us who don't have the disease, but we are, say, the problem of being stuck at home, the problem of feeling cooped up. I think we're all in that problem together, right? So, but then building resilience is finding ways to deal with this problem in a much happier way where you're not going to get depressed about it. And like I said, not just to maybe survive this period, but to actually do something good and to thrive. Because you can always see it as you have a lot more extra time to do the things that you've always wanted to do. Or you can feel like terrible every day and just be counting down like the days that that the lockdown is going to be for. Am I getting this right, Stefan?
Yeah, absolutely correct. If we can, what you just said is beautifully put together, and you also re-emphasize on the part of negativity bias. When we are biased towards negativity, we will pay attention to the problems continuously. Yeah. So take a step back and focus on other activities that you have learned today to replenish your resilience reservoir so that you can continue to focus on your well-being, and that's important. And if I can add on one more thing, some people say that, okay, I have a lot of negative emotions, a lot of negative thoughts, and it's very hard to just let them go, right? Okay, I fine. Think of another metaphor, riding a bicycle, right? On a bicycle, there are two pedals. In order to move forward, we need to pedal both. So the left pedal is negative emotions and worries and problems. The right one is positive emotions, interventions, resilience. So we need these both to pedal forward. So if you keep focusing on one pedal, you will definitely fall down again and again, and you injure yourself and other people. So we need to pedal negative, positive to move forward. And that is resilience.
Wow, I really like the analogy. That's the first time that I've heard it like that. And I think it's good because for me also, I mean, I'm getting some of the questions also. It's not it's quite similar to what I thought before, that like being resilient and being like in a state of good well-being and being happy in general is to always be literally like smiling and happy, but that's not it. I mean, negative emotions are not bad for us. It's just listening to what messages they're trying to tell us, like anger or sadness. There's a reason why you might be angry or sad, and it's dealing with it in a. I mean, you still will experience the anger or sadness, right? But dealing with it in a way that is not harmful to you and your loved ones, and in a way that lets you get on with life quickly, and in the end, maybe you'll even learn and grow from it.
Yeah, well said.
Wow, I also can be like. Okay, gonna just take last few questions, guys. So maybe you can keep your questions coming on Facebook, YouTube, and IG Live. I'm, before we round up this session, I think one question that has come in also is, I don't really understand this question. Is struggling, holding on to it an act of resilience? Holding on to your problems, you mean? Sorry, May, I think your handle is 22nd, 2020 May. Struggling or holding on to problems, you mean, is an act of resilience?
I'm trying to see, is struggling holding on to something an act of resilience?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll try to answer the best way.
Yeah.
I just came across a very good quote yesterday. Alice and I were watching this movie, and I think that quote really stood out to me. Is we will die. We will not die if we fall into the river.
Okay.
But we will die when we choose to stay submerged in it.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, that is a good one.
Yeah. So that's a metaphor to answer you. Is it resilience? Well, if you hold on to the problem too long, you will sink with it. Right? So there are ways to go around it. So of course, I will highly recommend, there are different techniques for you to apply, and go back to the metaphor, which I really like. I hope that answered your question.
Actually, I really, really like that. I think we're just going to take one more. It's slightly resilience and slightly more specific to dealing with these difficult times. This is also from someone, I think Lobster Q44, your handle is. So you say COVID-19 lockdown day 23, home alone. I think one of the ways that we can increase resilience also, which maybe Stephen didn't touch on because I don't want to keep it snappy, is to work on your relationships. So, I mean, for me, I feel like that being a super extrovert, that has always helped me through. My relationships and my network is pretty strong. But what would you advise, Stephen, for someone who is alone and you're home alone and you live alone, and in this time, if you live alone, you kind of are alone until the end of the lockdown? What would be your advice?
Thank you. I think you have already answered 50% of the question.
Really?
Yeah, I just need to, you have answered the question. I'll just build on what you say. A big ingredient of resilience is social connections. 90% of our brain are hardwired to think about other people, whether we like it or not. Being alone doesn't mean that there's a difference between loneliness and being lonely, okay? So being alone, you can still be able to reach out to other people, and there are so many resources you can tap to. And it's good, and one big part of resilience is about having the ability to reach out despite feeling not confident. So reach out to people. There are people who care about you, and there are people who are out there in the same situation, wants to connect with you. Send a text message to an old friend. I believe that they will definitely reply to you, and join these group activities together. We need that social connection. And if I can add on, if let's say that you have done all these things, you want something to look forward to, right? Maybe I could suggest adopt a plant. I know this is a little bit different. I
thought you were going to say adopt a pet, but I think a plant is safer, yeah.
Yeah, I would like to say pets. Adopt a plant, because when you wake up each day, you have something meaningful to look forward to. And it's also about having a connection with another living organism. And that is about resilience too.
Okay. Well, I think that's a very helpful tip. In this time, I keep asking friends, should I adopt a dog? And then everyone is like, when the stay home is over, you better think about whether you can manage the dog. But I think a plant is a little bit better and a smaller step for people who are like wanting to care for like a living thing. Yeah, start with the plant first.
Yes, start with the plant first. I think you should adopt a dog, definitely.
I want to, but yeah, we'll see, because like this is honestly the most time I have ever spent at home. If you know me personally, you will know that I just am out and about all the time. So this, it's interesting. It's interesting time for me, and I think it's interesting times for everyone at home. And I think Stefan and I, we started doing this series because we really hope to be able to reach out and to help build a community and to speak to as many people as possible and to spread, just hopefully spread tips on how you can cope during this period as well. So please give us feedback on the session across any channels. You can go on to the School of Positive Psychology's page, Stefan's page, my pages, and just let us know whether you enjoyed this or not. You are very welcome to the people who said thank you for taking the effort to set this up. Welcome, and thank you everyone for hanging out with us and for giving us like such affirmation, like such valuable content. Someone said that mas me away. I have the most interesting IG handles, I gotta say. It's very challenging though to read them out sometimes. But we really enjoy doing this, and this is the first time Stefan and I are doing this live. I think this is the first time Stefan is doing an IG live.
Yes.
So I just had to, kind of like let y'all know that. So thank you for your patience also as we took the time to set up the technical side of it. We'll try to make that a lot smoother next time. Let us know what we can improve on, and we will be back with this series soon. We'll let you know. Just watch all our spaces, and we'll definitely update on when the next one will be.
Awesome. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Bye.